with MakingStarWars.net.
Hey everybody, I'm Jason Ward from MakingStarWars.net, and today we're talking about the daily Star Wars news. Have you heard what happened? Your favorite book is coming out in a live-action remake by Dave Filoni. That's what they said on the internet.
Well, Jason, I just want you to know I talked to Dave this morning, and he wanted to come on and share you his opinions. I'm just gonna let him talk for a couple seconds.
Yeah. I mean, it's Dave's movie. By all means, it's Dave's fucking movie, dude.
Hey, Jason, how you doing?
Hey, David, how are you?
I just heard there's a little confusion over a Mando season 4 in my movie, so I thought I'd just clear it all up for you. Give you all the big scoop. You ready for it? Here we go.
Yeah,
it's
give it to me.
actually called Mando Forever. That's my
Mando
movie. It's all,
wow.
You got all confused.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
We're going to give Grogu nipples.
Oh, you are, aren't you?
Can't wait.
Yeah.
That's why they got all confused. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not season 4 or nothing. It's just my movie.
Right.
Mando Forever. Y'all
gonna
see that. All right.
Well, that
really
clears
the big scoop. No,
it clears it up. It all makes sense now. Yeah. I mean, simple confusion. Okay. Thank you.
Right,
thank you, David. Yeah, we know what's going on now, I guess.
Pretty good,
huh? So what happened was yes, to kind of like put it into some kind of order. My Time to Shine goes on to Twitter, logs in, looks at some stuff. It's a
Time to Shine.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's
you gotta explain
a Twitter
it to everyone like they're me. Like
yeah. So yeah, they do stuff with superhero stuff a lot. I've talked to them before, and I've known that they've known things that people didn't know about Star Wars before. Okay. So it's not like this is somebody who's just knows nothing and is just like throwing shit against the wall necessarily. But I'm not endorsing it because I don't have any power to endorse what they're saying. I don't have my own source on this that says one way or the other. So I'm not endorsing it. I'm just reporting what's going on.
I'm just trying to gauge how you feel the authenticity of this info, and I'm not picking on John Roca. I love John Roca, right? But I just want to say, do you feel like this is more of a John Roca scoop, or if it's more of a Chris Breezy scoop, or more of a, or to the right, the Snyder scoop, right? Like, which one would you say?
Yeah, well, no, that's the question I keep asking myself, because it feels like a Chris Breezy scoop. Love you, Chris. We're just picking on you. I mean, to me, like if a completely untested source came up to me and was just like, listen, please believe me. I promise you will not be, you will not be upset. This will pan out. And told me, and they were like, here, I'll let you hold this $500 for me. And if it's wrong, it's your $500. I'd say, nah, you keep the money. I'm just not interested. That's where I would be afraid to report this personally. So I wouldn't personally, unless I had like a source who has never done me wrong and is one of the good ones and stuff like that. So I have to assume that My Time to Shine is coming at this from that perspective, but it begins with them saying that Mando season 4 is being delayed. And I'll be honest with you again, when I first heard that, I was like, that's so early. I don't know if that really makes sense. And then I started thinking in my head, I'm like, maybe Disney told Lucasfilm, hey, we're not budging on this stuff. So this isn't ending in 2 months. And in 2 months is when you need to know where we're at. If we to go forward, you're not going to be there. So just call it now.
Especially with SAG.
Maybe that happened,
and DAG, right? DAG and SAG. Right, coming up, right?
I mean, it's yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, once the directors go on strike, it is a fuck situation. at that
and
point.
I just want to be clear too, Jason. I don't like it when they go, so and so canceled due to the writer's strike, as if the writers were causing this problem. This is due to the fact that the AARP isn't fucking negotiating at all. Like, they aren't even like, hey, we see what you want. How about this? They're just like, fuck you. You know, like that's, this is the unwillingness of studios to even like deal on any kind of level. So, framing matters, I think.
Sure. No, it definitely does. And so anyways, My Time to Shine comes out and says Mando 4 is getting delayed. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, that's really not supposed to be in front of cameras until like October. And even if you pushed it back by a month, say October, November, it gives it some time. And I was a little bit like, is it really being delayed? I didn't know. I was like, I don't know. I had like 15 DMs about it. So I just went out on Twitter and I was just like, look, here's what I heard. That's the last I heard, is that it was going to start filming around, October, September, October. October is like when filming really gets into like full swing. And that's all that's the last update of significance I could share. Right. And then a few minutes later, the trades come in, Deadline comes in with it. And we're assuming that the person at Deadline isn't just reading My Time to Shine and Lifting the Scoop. Right. The person at Deadline who reported it is somebody who reported like credible stuff on casting for the TV shows and stuff in the past. And I'm going to use Bestman Bulletin's article for just to get into that really when we get into it.
Not for nothing, man. I appreciate casting scoots, but for me as a fan, before I was ever on the show, right? Which is going on 2 years, by the way. We're going to have a pizza party on that 2-year anniversary in July. Just letting you all know.
Rob's buying pizza, he said.
Pizza. We're going to eat it in front of Jason's face because he can't eat no pizza.
What?
So he can't have none. You can't have none. You can't have none. You can't have... Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked, Jason. I just want to say, as a fan, casting scoops for me are like the bottom tier scoop.
Yeah.
Because there's so many agents, they just put out casting calls, and it's like the only thing less than that to me is like IMDb casting scoops, right? like, hey, IMDb listed a person. Oh shit, must be true, right? Like,
yeah, I know.
So the one right above that would be cast. Now, not to say like when you broke Pedro Pascal being Mando, hey man, that's a big deal. So I'm not saying it isn't important. But if that's all you ever had to hang your hat on, you fall below a lot of other scoopers. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, the thing about it is when it comes to like just casting stuff, that ends up being like, some agents, and then the agents talk and they give you some very rough outlining stuff about the parameters of the role, maybe. And so it doesn't really it's the source. It's not stellar. I've informed casting people what their people are actually getting involved in more than they've known from the official company before. Like that's actually happened a few times. So it goes,
Casting to me is a big deal when it's some super iconic character, right? Like who's the next Batman, right?
Sure.
Who's the next Superman or some shit like that.
Right.
Not like Sleazebag Dano will now be played by, Boner from Growing Pains.
Today is I think it's Attack of the Clones' birthday. I think tonight, midnight.
Is this the day I threw away all my Star Wars shit? Yeah, so this will be the night.
Yes, Alon Sleazebagano's birthday.
I bought that dildo saber, the Doku dildo saber, at the premiere when we were all waiting in line, and I was trying to make it work because I like fencing and shit. I did some fencing.
It's curved, so it's the prostate.
Yeah. But by the time that movie came out, we were done. I was trying. I'm not gonna lie. On the ride home, man, I was defending it, but my buddy was just silent. Like he was the fan who was like stunned by what we just saw. And then I knew what it was. I'd been through this. I just chucked in the bin. I was like, I'm done.
Hey,
I'm done.
Should have kept it? I would have gave it to me. It's like 20 years later.
I would have.
So we'll just start here. Because
I want to throw this one up. It's actually delayed because Jake says it's actually delayed because Dave's been camped out getting 18 orders of doggy style fries. And Jake, doggy style fries will be making a return. Just letting you know.
Yeah.
Thank you for that one.
And also he also thinks when he orders his hamburger animal style, that he gets to eat it out of a bowl on the ground. But that's not what happens, and nobody's had the nerve to tell him because he's a director. So, but anyways,
I'm making a movie. I'm making a movie. Woo-hoo! All right, it's enough. All right.
So filming on The Mandalorian season 4 likely delayed due to the WGA strike. So as we can see by this headline, Bespin hates the writers and he blames them. Okay, so here we go. Back in March, MakingStarWars.net reported that Lucasfilm were planning to begin filming on the 4th season of The Mandalorian in October of this year. The report came shortly before the creator and executive producer of the series, Jon Favreau, began a promotional run of Mando's 3rd season, where he confirmed several times that the scripts for season 4 had been completed and that early pre-production had begun. So thank you to Bespin for putting me in the correct order of operations here. I do appreciate it.
Shut up about it.
Like, yeah. Shut the fuck up, Favreau or Bespin.
Favs.
Favy. So in the initial MSW report, it was mentioned that the scheduling of filming to begin in October, despite scripts being complete, was due to a pending Writers Guild of America strike. So that's like literally what I said. Like that was what they were saying. That's why he got done early. Which had now come to fruition. At the time, I conversed with and corroborated MSW's report through my own independent sources that production on Mando was being planned for later in the year due to the WGA strike. However, Deadline are now reporting that production on The Mandalorian season 4 will likely be delayed. So there you go. Doesn't necessarily make sense to me, like how this happens this way. Like, and remember, I was talking about the strike, not that I was the only one who saw it coming or anything like that, but I'm not a writer in Hollywood, and we were talking about the strike first in the Star Wars community because of this very reason. You know,
you want my take possibility on this? It could be because the Teamsters and IATSE have been supportive of the writer's strike, and they've been purposefully sort of blocking, productions or unwilling to drop stuff off to certain productions. Yeah. I imagine high profile productions like Daredevil and shit. I imagine if they think, hey, pre-production, we could, someone needs to build sets. If they know they're building sets, it could just cause more financial issues if they're out there unwilling to drop off materials to make more concrete feet or whatever else they need.
Right.
I mean, lumber has to be dropped off, sets have to be constructed, and generally that stuff starts around nowish, right? Like summertime. Yeah. So that, and I imagine they would love to say, we stopped them from filming Mando on Star Wars to get back at Disney. Could be one of those things.
Or could it be that Dave Filoni bought the crew lunch and it was in and out and he made them eat out of a doggy bowl on the ground because it was an animal style hamburger? I mean, maybe.
I'm getting my order right now, Jason. Doggy style fries, doggy style fries. I'm gonna eat doggy style fries.
No fries. But it does start with
You unleashed.
It's a little genie out of the bottle. The little Filoni out of the bottle with his little hat comes up in smoke. But but My Time to Shine tweets this before Deadline. Okay, so however, Deadline are now reporting that the production on The Mandalorian season 4 will likely be delayed. According to the trade sources, Disney and Lucasfilm are looking at delaying the start of production on The Mandalorian season 4 from September to an unknown later date. My sources indicated that filming wasn't slated until very late into September, but does not know when filming is currently slated to begin. And that's where I'm at too. They just don't have any answers, actually. Despite Jon Favreau having completed the scripts for The Mandalorian this spring, it seems the impact of the WGA strike will have on Mando is due to not being able to have writers on set and the fear of picketing at the sets, possibly interrupting production, as crew members could refuse to cross the picket line. Something Deadline notes recently happened with another Disney Plus series, Daredevil, Born Again. If filming were to start on The Mandalorian season 4, Favreau, who is the showrunner for the series in addition to being a writer, would find himself in murky waters. Despite the scripts being complete, Favreau would not be allowed to cut for time, complete minor dialogue or narration changes, and would not be allowed to make technical or stage direction changes in his role as producer and showrunner of the series, as he's part of the Writers Guild of America, and as is his producing writer partner Dave Filoni. One other thing to note is I have seen Jon Favreau direct on all of these things. He's directed like one fucking episode, and I've seen him directing more than anybody on this shit in my time hitting that set. So he directs, and he's in the Directors Guild, and he won't be able to do that either. So he won't be able to tell his lessers what to do.
Fucking plebes.
Yeah, come on, man. Fucking this is Favreau's time. Let's break those guilds and make it Favreau's America. No, I'm kidding. Last
Favreau.
week,
Fatbro.
Yeah, Fat Bro, that's me.
No,
I'm John Fatbro. I'm John Fatbro. Last week, Andor season 2. It's about myself. But I will say he and I could fuck up a fucking buffet. Let's just be honest. We could fucking take it out together.
Oh, quickly, Jason. I was listening to Double Toast this morning, and Martin was talking about how every now and then he gives into his sugar cravings, right? He can't help it, and he'll devour a bag of gummy worms.
Right.
And they couldn't get over that. And I was like, I get that. Like once a year, I have a gummy worm craving, dude. I don't know. I can't explain it. I don't like it. I've talked to my dentist if it's going to affect my teeth, but yeah.
At In-N-Out, I like my bun double toasted. It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
You should do it.
They're a great show, Double Toast. Just put it out there.
All right.
Good talk.
Tony Gilroy, TG as we call him around here, ceased his showrunner duties on the critically acclaimed series after coming under fire from fellow Writers Guild of America members who accused the writer-producer of scabbing after it was reported that Gilroy would continue to his production duties on the series following the completion of the season 2 scripts. Yeah, they were like, "You're a fucking scab, bro." They fucking like straight up called him
Ken Jennings.
out.
Like Ken Jennings. Ken Scab Jennings.
The delay in production for The Mandalorian Season 4 could also impact the production and release windows for future Star Wars projects, including Dave Filoni's Mandoverse crossover movie.
Mando Forever. We had the scoop. Get it correct.
I believe
also,
it's just called Mandos.
TGDF. TGDF. That's the Gilroy Filoni TGDF. Right. Yeah.
You know what I hate is whenever I would go over to the set and like Filoni would walk up to me and he would poke my belly and he'd go, "Mando, you're Mandoey. You're a Mandoey boy." And I would cry. I would cry. He would.
Y'all popping fresh, baby.
Nobody fat shames me like you, Dave Filoni Jr. The flick was Filonius.
Right. We don't want to get sued.
Filonius D.
Yeah.
The flick was announced at Star Wars Celebration last month and would see various series produced by Filoni and Favreau, such as The Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and more coming together for an epic event film, which will showcase the war between the New Republic and the Imperial Remnant, led by Grand Admiral Thrawn. In a report from The Hollywood Reporter, that's kind of funny. I sentenced before, and I refused to do it. Now, does he remember that I said that? Yeah. It's like, word? Yeah. So I'm like a story from the, but in a report.
You could just do Hollywood Reporter revealed. Like you could simplify that, right?
Yeah. Or
last week, or
Hollywood Reporter exposed. Let's just get
revealed. Blah blah blah.
Let's just get right into it. Let's just get right into it.
I like how we're grammar fucking this guy. Like
yeah. Fuck you, Bespin.
Also, Jedi Mike, it's called the Del Taco Walk of Shame. So you know. Mm-hmm. All right. So you know. No, it's horrible food. Don't eat there.
No, it's so good. It's so good. No. In a report from The Hollywood Reporter, it was revealed that Lucasfilm and Disney were aiming to release the Mandoverse film in December 2026, but that it was dependent on the release of both a 4th season of Mandalorian and a possible 2nd season of Ahsoka. If production on The Mandalorian is delayed, it'll likely have a knock-on effect for the possible 2nd season of Ahsoka and subsequently the Mandoverse flick due to changing production schedules and release windows. So there you go. Lucasfilm currently have 2 series in production, The Acolyte, or The Acolyte, as we call it around here, which is scheduled to wrap sometime this month, and Andor Season 2, which is set to wrap in August, with both series set to release next year. So
it's the mighty acolyte, Jason.
The mighty acolyte.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
So we have this story hit, right? And then My Time to Shine's like, oh, I'm not done. And then they tweeted this. Shocker, not really. Dave Filoni's movie is called Star Wars: Heir to the Empire. Jon Favreau is only producing for now. It's all Filoni. So I mean, there's a lot. Like I said, I'm not throwing shade at them. I'm not saying they're wrong. I don't know that they're right. Like, I don't have my own person telling me it's not called that or it is called that or anything like that. I don't have this just happened and I put out the feelers, but we're like hasn't even been 24 hours. So what can I say?
They're all ducking.
They're all like, well, I mean, like, but there's like a couple of things. I mean, number one, if this is an accurate report, and that is what it's called. It's weird that it has a title already, but since it's a title already established, I guess it's possible. Also, fair game to say The Last Jedi was like Marvel Comics, what was it, 49 or something like that? It was somewhere in the 40s, I think.
Yeah.
It's happened before. Like, we've had titles show up. The Force Awakens was a fan film title before it was
in
J.J.
movie.
Abrams film.
No, I'm counting.
Yeah,
But
so they may just be taking it now. If they are doing that, that's a big mistake on their part, because this movie is not going to resemble that Timothy Zahn book. The novelization, even if written by Timothy Zahn, is going to be super fucking confusing, and they're setting themselves
Civil
up.
War, right? Civil War wasn't anything. It wasn't the comic book at all. Like, it was Civil War within that universe. This is Heir of the Empire within the Mandoverse, right?
Yeah, I mean it does get confusing on the bookshelf, right? I mean, and then if it's not Timothy Zahn,
way past that, Jason.
Then it's I know, but then they get Timothy Zahn to write it. Then you're like, okay, that's weird. Then you get somebody else, they get just destroyed for not being Timothy. You know what I mean? It's not as good as Timothy Zahn when I was 11, 1991. You know.
Once Filoni put out that Tales of the Jedi that kind of like rewrote some of the Ahsoka novel, I was like, I told you this shit doesn't matter. Like, it's canon until they don't need it to be canon. Even the legend stuff will be legends until they decide to pull from whatever they want. It's just assume this, man. The canon is live action and everything else is circumcised.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, you speaking my tongue, Rob? Mm-hmm. Shut up, Filoni. You're corrupting me.
Right.
Circumsect. Whatever. It's suspect. Mm-hmm. How about that one?
Okay. Okay. I'll take it. Whatever you want to say, buddy, you can just say it.
Long Shakes, the movie.
Yeah.
So I would say this, right? Like, it does. How do I say this? It does keep the film in its own little thing. You don't think episode 10, right? Mm-hmm. You don't think a numerical number at this point, because we've already done that. It's out of that numbering system. So if you were like, it's a one-off, it's called Heir to the Empire. Then that you can use that and then kind of get away with it.
Yeah. So what would it do that's positive? If they did it, it would take the people who said they should have made Heir to the Empire, just make it before episode 7. Okay. That's what they would be doing. So
right, it's a prequel to episode 7.
You could do it, but realistically, that story as we know it and the heart of that story, is it going to adapt well? I wouldn't think into a new film with Din, Grogu, Ahsoka, Ezra Bridger, and friends. Like it's completely possible. I mean, yeah, it's completely like possible to, can you have Balin be Joruus Sabayoth? You could technically do it, I guess. I mean, you could have Snoke in it as that character, but once again,
it would be Joruus.
Oh my God, there we go. But we just end up with like, but you end up with a product that no matter what, like my analogy on Santa's show was, it's gonna be like asking those people to call their stepdad dad. They're not gonna want to do it. they're going to fucking resist you. They're going to say, no, that's not my dad. They're not going to do it. They're not going to go with it. So if you think that's like a quick and easy fix to those guys, oh, there is no quick and easy fix for those guys.
No,
and that's not going to be
it. And we know clickbait sells. Look at that time you did clickbait. It was like the highest viewed show we had in like years.
But I mean,
only been on for years.
I mean, they will have to hate watch it, so maybe it's a way to make those people buy the movie still. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know.
Plus, maybe they have to renew their trademark or their URL, to keep Heir of the Empire. So, because I looked up Mara Jade and some nitwit owns it.com this morning. I was like, who owns MaraJade.com? And some nitwit owns it. Trying to sell it for like $1,000. It's not even anyone important. Like someone squatted on that years ago.
Yeah.
So.
I would have to like think too that if they go this route, right? They're gonna Jedi Mike says no Mara Jade. They're gonna have to like develop Mara Jade either in the movie or before it. And I've been trying to figure out, like, I think this stuff will start to become clear when they do start making more television shows again, after the strike someday. But we end up in this place where you can't like have the hand of the Emperor just show up. I mean, who would be? That's like a key component. Is
that Palpatine just showed up?
There's this
movie,
right? But what I'm saying is she is. That story, okay, like if you read the book, there's a couple of things that make that story, right? And part of it is Mara Jade hears the Emperor's last command ringing in her ears: kill Luke Skywalker. Fucking that's like his like last thing: kill Luke, fuck that guy up. And so that's like that character, and then she meets Luke, and he's all right. And then she has to, the voice in her head begins to lose its power kind of thing but it's also 3 books. And I'm condensing like 3 books into Heir to the Empire, which is also, it just doesn't really, it's not a standalone movie. Not even, and that book's not even formatted like a movie. So even if you wanted to adapt it, it would be like it would lose a lot. But that's the burden of that character post Empire. What's she doing? Right. And but
I want to put it out there. Lucas wasn't a big fan of Boba Fett either. So
and here's the whole thing, Rick. I didn't want to go there yet, but Rick, Lucas was fine with Mara Jade. He created Mara Jade in a movie called Willow. That's his character. That's his concept. He likes it. It's fine. It's not until 37 books later when she gets married to Luke Skywalker and they're banging that he has an issue with it, because Luke was supposed to be a celibate Jedi as per his ideas in the prequels and how the Jedi go.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
If
no one fucks but me. That's right. Only Luke doesn't get to. No, not in my saga. Not in my saga.
Not in your. You had Prince as your wedding singer, because that's why I know you fuck. That's how I know you fuck, George.
I definitely do.
Yeah,
Luke, no.
You don't put Prince on unless you're ready to fuck.
No, even Han doesn't. He doesn't fuck either.
You're going too far now, George. We both know that's dumb.
No, they're all conceived by Space Jesus. That's how I wrote it. Yeah.
All
right. Well, I gotta go listen to some Prince albums.
All right, see you later, dude. So, anyways, but where I'm going with this Mara Jade thing is you can't just throw in Mara Jade and just be like, oh, and here comes the red-headed beauty from afar. Like, what the fuck are you doing? What is that? So, I honestly think if you were gonna do it, Mara Jade would need to be like the protagonist. And it would have to be her struggle.
Don't give him Filoni ideas, Jason. What are you doing?
Right. But it would have to be like she has the command going on in her head. She's trying to adjust, and all of these events are going on, and we would have to get at it through her with all of those characters coming in. But that doesn't necessarily.
Writing that down.
All right,
that's a good idea. I'm gonna put that in ChatGPT. We're gonna get this script done before the strike's over.
you always say that. You always say that, Dave, but you don't write anything down ever. But anyways.
That's true.
But you end up in a situation where I think if you're Lucasfilm, like in that scenario, and there's like 2 ways to go. Do you go with the Star Wars Avengers, which Disney has wanted you to do for the last 9-10 years. That's what they wanted. When they started the TV shows, that was what they were asking for. When they started the spin-off films, that's what they were asking for. Do this thing that Marvel does, please. And then, but you haven't done it. So you have all of these TV shows and you have Thrawn back, and it is setting up that right there. It's kind of going that way. But if you go with a primary protagonist, like in Mara Jade, for instance, and you center the story from her perspective, all of these other players come into book, you're not really getting that. You're just getting a movie with a lot of cameos. And
cameos is what sells the fucking movies these days. Anytime something new comes out, Jason, they go, hey, you're going to get a new Captain America series. Great. When's Wolverine appearing? Where's Johnny Storm appearing? Where's fucking Mephisto? Yeah. Like, it's never about the fucking character. We get a new Ahsoka series. Where's the throne going to appear? Where's the Space Wheels going to appear? When's Luke going to appear? When's Boba Fett? When's Mace? It's never about Ahsoka. Like, I never hear
that doesn't make a good movie in reality.
Correct, right. Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
You know, they waited how many seasons before they started dropping? I mean, Tuco's in the opening episode, but no one fucking cared whether Tuco was in it or not.
I like Tuco.
But no one was begging. Yeah. No one said Tuco.
No one was asking.
They were like,
"Where's?" Yeah.
Right. They waited for the Walter White when the series was over. You know what I mean? To the very.
It wasn't even that good when he came out. I was like, I didn't even care when he showed up. I was like,
They made certain, but they gave you the Gus Fring fucking thing you didn't know you wanted, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's, but they waited 3 seasons till that happened. So like, but that's my problem. Like, the cameos is what they want, and fans didn't complain when the movies come out. It's still with cameos. Why isn't it about the characters? And then they start this vicious cycle with their own fandom about cameos.
When I went to see Guardians of the Galaxy, I was really happy to see Howard the Duck both times. Did it make it better? Howard the Duck is completely irrelevant to that film, to the heart and the core of that film, that he's there. But I like it.
And we got, even on the original Howard the Duck, we got an Indiana Jones Howard the Duck poster. That was the most of a cameo and we got a Playboy duck, which to this day, I can't believe I saw bird tits and as a kid.
But
changed my life, Jason.
But what is the commonality between what we know, what we think we know, and what appears to be coming? And that's that. I believe, based off of what I've heard about Ahsoka season 1, that it ends with the good guys essentially losing and Thrawn returning fully staffed with an army of undead or magical stormtroopers, whatever the fuck they end up being. They got these red things tied to them and they come back to life. Okay. And he has got these Jedi with them that are like on his team, and so all this shit. So like that's where. So when you get down to it, like that does satisfy one component of Heir to the Empire, is that Thrawn returns to be a threat to civilization, right? To the new Republic, and so with that in mind, or that concept there, you do have Heir to the Empire. What if it's just kind of being called Heir to the Empire while it doesn't have a title?
Hey, Days of Future Past was not the comic book series Days of Future Past. You know, the Days of Future Past movie is elements of that story within the movie's timeline. You know, it's got plenty in that movie that got not a fucking thing to do with the actual Days of Future Past comic book.
Right.
The Terminator has more to do with Days of Future Past, the comic book, than the actual Days of Future Past movie. So I know you're totally against it. I, on the other hand,
against what?
If that's a fun script, using Heir to the Empire as the name of a movie, or even trying to adapt it in any way, shape, or possible, like you're firmly on the dumb idea. I'm on the, hey, that's acceptable fan service if the script is good. You know, like I think that is the kind of popcorn movie you can get the 40-year-olds and the young ones in, because the young ones will be watching the Ahsoka series and they grew up with Rebels, so they're gonna know Thrawn and Ahsoka will be in it and all that other stuff, right? So smart move to kind of like, if it's true, to bridge the gap. However, if this is a script that's on par with Boba Fett and Mando season 3 and Kenobi, then waste of fucking everyone's time and talent, you know?
As parlance for the time. Pistol Pete wants to know who's controlling the magic that brings the zombies troopers. It's Morgan Elsbeth and the Night Sisters. Morgan Elsbeth from season 2 of Mandalorian is a Night Sister, and she's Thrawn's witch, and I don't know how many other Night Sisters there are, if there's just her, but I believe there's more. I think there's more, but I might be assuming that.
You think with like, I don't fucking know much about all that stuff, 'cause that's Rebel stuff, but like, do you?
No. This is all new. This is all new stuff.
Oh, this is new. Okay, but do you think that whatever they're doing with that in Ahsoka, maybe why they removed the witch from Mando season 3?
Yeah,
you know, because it probably crosses over too much, and then maybe would double speak in a way or confuse people, right?
Right. Yeah, I think that has a little bit to do with it. I had heard exactly that as probably a component, and also it was a little to what's his name, the green pirate guy,
Salad the Hutt,
Shard, Arian,
Scordian Shard,
what was his name? Alexander Deshard. I think it's Alexander Deshard.
Shard, like shard lettuce. That's exactly what his name is. Yeah, I put
Sharded. Sharded. That was his name. Sharded. The pirate Sharded Roberts. There was a little too much of that flavor really close together. Gory and Shard. Thank you, Farm Boy. Yeah. So and Frog Eater, I have your super chat starred over here, so we'll get to it. Yeah. So anyways, though, yeah, we end up with things that, like I said, are not going to feel like Heir to the Empire, and you're going to end up making those fans of that extraordinarily angry and mobilized against you. And like the example that not that I mobilized and got angry and stupid on the internet, I just walked away from it. But like,
yeah, they're not Antifa, right, Jade?
Well, no, yeah, like no, this year, like I love Anne Rice as much as I love Star Wars. I've read the books probably 4 or 5 times, like all of them in order. Like I just read through them like over and over again. Over the years, every couple of years, I'll like revisit it once I feel that it's faded a little bit. And AMC bought Anne Rice bought the rights to make the Vampire Chronicles and into a show. And I went and they changed it so much. It is not Interview with the Vampire anymore for me. It's not entirely an awful show, but it's completely like just not that thing that I love, and the reason why I'm even looking at the show. And self-defeating in that instance, because they could have just created that story within that universe and had those events happen and still done whatever they wanted with the Interview with the Vampire. You know what I mean? At the same time.
Yeah, well, that execution is always the answer, though, Jason. Like, an idea is a dime a dozen. Everyone can come with an idea. I want to do an Heir to the Empire-esque film and then execute a poor film, you know? Or I want to do an Anne Rice trilogy of films and then execute a poor version.
You're falling apart today. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. I said you're falling apart.
I'm gonna tell you,
it's Filoni in your head.
For like he's
trying to get out. I know that's what it is.
He's just. It's the circumcised thing. It's just throwing me off today.
No. In the Interview with the Vampire thing, the execution is really well. It's really well done. But it's like, but why is the question you just keep, as you watch, just like why? So point being though is I've had this happen to me before where they took something I loved in a book, and for no reason, they understand like sometimes you got to change things because like you're making it into a movie, you're changing mediums. But there's also like the era and, that you don't need to change, like the character's backstories. You don't need to change that stuff. But in this instance right here, you're going to have to. We know that everybody throws a fit about books when things change. And like they're just setting themselves up to have the contrarians go like, oh, fuck it. It's not Heir to the Empire that I love.
Wow.
And
but with Star Wars is at the point, Jason, where anything they do is going to be that is.
Oh, and they're not wrong, Rob. But this is going to be easy. This is going to be like the most effective and easy one ever.
Well, maybe it'll drown itself out really quickly too, in the way that Disney's Civil War drowned itself out pretty quickly. You know, like if they jump on it fast and then it burned out, and then everyone likes the movie, it doesn't matter. Like, look, a lot of fucking people right up till when Avatar came out were like, "Oh, this is Cameron's folly." Drowned itself out. The movie's good. No one's gonna fucking care. They can make all the videos they want. YouTube, especially in the last year, has been like, people are watching videos to listen to people praise the things they love. They don't like it when you and I come on here and, you know, maybe go, "Hey, it's cool, but it's also kind of stupid." They don't like that kind of conversation. That's why we get low views. But I appreciate the low views because you people are meaningful. But the high view things, the things they're looking for, are generally praise videos or they're total shit videos. But there's nothing you can do about that. All you got to do, man, is say, "Hey, what do you want to do as a creator? I want to do this. How can we make that fit?" And then you got to back it, you know. And that's basically it. If there's a vision for it, that's way better than. Look, Rise of Skywalker, I could complain all I want, but at the end of the day, it's sort of a loose adaptation of Dark Empire. Very loose, but there's a lot of salient points in Rise of Skywalker or in Dark Empire. You may as well just have converted more of that into, instead of
more of what worked,
explore the dark sides. Instead of Luke exploring the dark side, whatever, it should have just been Rey, and like really put more of that in there and called the movie fucking Dark Empire. You know, and been like, "Hey, we're probably going to do one more." You know, like, it's not a trilogy, it's a quadrilogy or some bullshit like that, you know?
Yeah, 39 films. Who gives a fuck? Just make it 10, make it 11, make it 12. Who gives a shit anymore? Doesn't matter.
Right. But like, they already loosely adapted canon stuff into there. And because they didn't, you know, like, it's so vague. At least here, like, you got the name and you got Thrawn. And you're gonna have a young Luke Skywalker in there. I don't care what anyone says. You know,
I'm
that's
with
gonna
you.
be enough for most people.
I'm expecting it. Yeah. I mean, and what if, you know, what if this goes a completely crazy way? I mean, there is always the chance. I mean, like the dream version of this concept, if they were to do it and we were to mash it all together, would be yeah, you're doing a Luke Skywalker. Mark Hamill looks great right now. He could play Luke a lot in the, you know, they could do a Harrison Ford thing to some degree, and his co-star from The Mandalorian, who dubs or stands in for him, usually could do a lot of that work too. And they could bring in Luke Skywalker, and they could bring in Mara Jade, and they could do that story against the backdrop of, instead of like what was that guy's name, Talon Card. You know, instead of like, Talon Card, like instead of that, you change it to the Mandalorians and so on, whatever it happens to be, you know. Those characters.
The question I have is, if it's the case, if it is going to be called Heir to the Empire and it's a loose adaptation, who's your protagonist? Is it Mando? Who is it? You know what I mean? That's the question, because at the end of the day, Luke Skywalker was the protagonist of those 3 novels. It had a B story and a C story and a D story, but Luke was the A story, clearly. Yeah,
well, when you and if you want to just like take it chapter by chapter, some chapters Mara Jade is the protagonist, and
B story and C story, and Leia had a bit, you know.
Because it's a novel. I don't know if it's even necessarily like if it's even like A, like in a film it would be A and B story, but I don't even know if that counts if it goes that way in a novel, because it's just
it's third person. It's called third person. It's done in third person narrative. So there's a narrator, right, showing a character's POV. It's not so much from Luke's point of view. It's a narrator.
It's not first person Luke.
Right. It's not first person Luke. So, but it does have 3, and it's that first novel, Heir to the Empire itself. It has Luke, it has Mara, it has Leia, and it has Thrawn, and sometimes Han. Right. Han is one of those ones that shows up in between chapters to kind of like link 2 characters coming together, like when they get ambushed at that village and shit, right? Like that whole thing on Sabah's planet or wherever that was. Yeah. So, but the story is Luke's story. He's there at the beginning. He's there at the end. That's kind of the whole point. With this movie, because they're calling it, it's not a Mando movie. It's a Mando-verse movie. We already have a problem now with the Mando-verse where I don't know who to root for. You know, clearly I thought it was Mando, you know, but now it's like a cult or an idea or a group of people. Is it the Mandalorian? It's hard to root for. Like, a football team. You know what I mean? In a movie, you know, you root for like the main guy and you hope the team wins, but it's
Rudy can do it.
Yeah, but you still that's Sean Astin and Jon Favreau's, right? Favs was in that movie. But
was he really? Was he Rudy?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, he was the best. Yeah.
Okay.
He was the best friend. Bring it all back today, Jason. We're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's my question: is who is the protagonist?
Right. And also the other problem with doing that concept is people are going to just want it to be Luke. They're going to want Luke to be the. I don't know.
Yeah, they're going to want Luke, and that's not going to happen.
And that's not going to happen. So, like I said, I feel like it has a lot going. The movie has a lot of complications already, and a lot of things going against it. And like when you have like the Avengers film. You know, they give, you know, Tony Stark gets his moment and Captain America gets his moment. Everyone gets their moment, right? And that doesn't make for good movies, in my opinion.
Right, but Joss, when he came on to the Avengers, the first film made Captain America sort of the character you're going through that experience with. Like, so that's why it starts up with him waking up in the modern day, him being the one that's brought in, him making the bed, anything that can't impress me, and it goes on to
He's the first Avenger.
You're seeing it sort of through Cap's eyes, even though it's still a big team film. That's sort of you know, and then Tony Stark would be second, and Hulk would be third, and so forth. So, you know, like that's the thing. I don't know. I'm not. For me, I can't even do the Rob. I mean, I still stand by my guesses are pretty good compared to most people. Like I sit in a high above 70, 80% range a lot of times. So I cannot tell you one way or the other until we see the Ahsoka series. I think that series is the only thing that's going to give us a glimpse, not into just what this movie's about, but where we think he'll go with execution. Like I could tell you what I think James Mangold's Indiana Jones is going to be like. But when we saw that clip yesterday, right? Big fucking difference between theorizing and seeing a clip, right? Of something he did with Indiana Jones in it. And that clip alone got my wife excited, man. And she can't stand Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, you know?
Well, yeah. And it's like, just watching those Wolverine movies didn't prepare me for how well he would nail that. You know?
Oh, well, look, dude.
He's a good filmmaker. I'm not knocking him. I'm saying
forget the Wolverine movies. The dude ended up in my top 10 of all time because he went from the Wolverine to Logan. Yeah. And like how that dude navigated that studio into turning that studio film experience bullshit into Logan, to me is a masterclass. You could teach probably a college course just on that movie, the transition, the film, right? Like the Oscar nominated best film. You know what I mean? Logan. I mean, just fucking brilliant. It's totally brilliant. The guy is fucking genius, so super talented.
But when it comes
got me to like Ford v Ferrari, and I fucking hate cars. So you figure
well, like the question I have about like Dave Filoni here too is like I've seen Dave Filoni in animation for a lot in Clone Wars, a lot in Ahsoka, which was made in a completely different kind of environment, different company when you really get into it, and
different group think.
And then I seen him go, and then he gets on to Mandalorian, and then it's like a completely like it's nailing live action basic Star Wars. Does it really, really, really well. And like the question,
not a good actor, Dave Filoni.
Not a good actor.
I'm just gonna sorry.
Not a good choice of hats. As somebody with a bad choice of hats, I could say he's got a bad choice of hats.
He's not even at a Tarantino level actor, right? At this point, he's like sub Tarantino. Like, I love Tarantino, but we can all agree his acting in his films is, it's not.
For whatever reason, whenever I think of Tarantino's acting, I always think of him telling what's her name that he could eat her pussy for her if she wants him to. That's all that comes to mind. I'm like.
My favorite, it's less obvious, it's subtle, but if you watch in Django, he pulls off the worst Australian accent I've ever heard in my entire life. And I watched MasterChef Australia daily, bro, for the last 10 years. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, and I've heard all forms of Australian accent, and I'm like, this motherfucker That's like me doing a Filoni impression of an Australian accent. Like,
yeah.
I love Quentin, man. I love his films, but that is ridiculous. Like,
yeah.
He must have been goofing. Someone must have been. I'm not smart. I'm not well versed in grindhouse films, but someone in a grindhouse in some film in the 70s must have done a bad Australian accent, and he must be mocking that in some way. Like, there's always some inside knowledge, right? There's something with that dude. If you listen to his podcast, Video Archives, you'll realize how well versed he is in shitty films. Like he got you to watch a Sherlock Holmes movie, right, Jason? You didn't want to watch a Sherlock Holmes.
No, it was a
fantastic,
good movie.
But right.
My only thing with his podcast is when I listen to it, I like to watch the movie and then listen to it, and that's just a more fun way for me. And then it becomes kind of a lot of work. That's some reason why I haven't watched that many.
Ignore the word. Like when
I
I
like
listen
to
to you
know,
talk about Clone Wars, I don't have to watch it to hear you talking about you. I listen to you and Santa talk about Star Wars lore for 90 fucking minutes a day. Like,
unlike you, Rob, I don't go and give myself like 70-80% accuracy rates based off of my opinion. So
what I know. Yeah. I don't need to know the Clone Wars series to have a fucking opinion on what's a good fucking movie. Like Star Wars movie, get out of here, dude.
Nobody said that.
And if they, I don't, Yeah, you're implying
these are your standards that you make up, and then you say, "Oh, it applies."
And I have seen several episodes of the Clone Wars. Even the Gungan one, I know, didn't like it.
But I wouldn't say you should watch the Jar Jar one to understand that when you like that there are many movies. I wouldn't say that. I'm just saying.
I can't look. I thought when I found out it was released in 2:35 aspect ratio overseas, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, all right, from a technical standpoint, I can at least watch this stuff because I'm going to be interested in seeing how they executed 2:35 aspect ratio and animation. By the way, very difficult to do. The camera lenses, the production, it's very expensive. It's not easy to set up, just so you know, right? So I thought I just can't get past the fact that I hate the animation, don't like the 3D style, and I don't like much of the voice acting. So it's very difficult as an artist for me to get past something that I'm not visually interested in.
But here's the thing is that the show has these huge milestone moments where it grows. And you're judging the whole thing based off of the prototype. And I'm telling you not to watch anything until season 3.5. And everything you saw was like based off of the movie and the first 5 episodes, basically, or something like the first.
No, I jumped around. I didn't watch the first 5. I jumped around. People were like, "Watch this episode." Well, I watched the Darth Maul Kenobi thing, and I thought it was sentimental and interesting. I don't care for the visual style of the Clone Wars cartoon. I don't care for it. Like, I don't like the thunder. I see the Thunderbirds. I don't like it. Like
I know,
and I like stylized animation. But for some reason, it's not my thing, man.
But it's not all about whether she's hot or not. It's about the story she's telling, and it tells a good story.
And look, I'm an artist, man. I'm a visual guy. If I don't like the visual, we're on the wrong foot, man. Like you're a guy that values the lyrics over the substance, over the style.
That is the substance. That is the substance.
Style. I corrected myself. I said style.
Okay.
Come on. So I thought with Rebels, I'd like it better because I like Ralph McQuarrie. Like the McQuarrie sabers and stuff. But I spray painting Mandalorians, I'm not into this shit. Like don't get me started on this. So I'm like, look, I think if you're a kid, right, or a general Star Wars fan, and you're looking for something, man, that fucking Clone Wars cartoon and Rebels, it's a million times better than the shit we grew up with. It's better than Droids, Ewoks, the Endor movies, right? And I would have been happy probably to have it in the 90s. But I just can't get over the fact that I had a Clone Wars cartoon I enjoyed, a 2D one. I enjoyed it. All right. I thought it was cool. Out of canon, might be hyperbolic and over the top, but I like the 2D style. And they ditched it for Lucas. Lucas wanted to do his own version. Like, that's how it came across to me. Like, oh, that's successful. I'm going to do my own version. I know that's not what happened, but I'm telling you how it came across. And then every time I sat down to watch it, I'm like, this feels like a pale imitation of Gendy stuff. And I'm watching Gendy right now do Primal Season 2, Jason. And you haven't seen any Primal. So,
I watched
the Clone Wars.
I watched the Gendy thing just yesterday.
I haven't seen Filoni grow with his animation.
No. Here's the thing: is that there are stories in the Clone Wars. I know for a fact, at that time, Genndy could not have told in the medium in which he started. That original 2D shit that they were doing on the original film,
3-minute long episodes, tough.
Well, they became longer, but so if you took them up to the 22-minute mark, but the thing about it is the Genndy project was an experiment to combine the superhero genre with Star Wars and animation. The Clone Wars was, can I make Clone Wars mini movies using CGI because I can't afford to actually do this.
And I'm fascinated to look at it. However, I don't care for the acting. I don't care for the visual style of it or the animation. And look, when we watch Tales of the Jedi, you know, I got to the second episode and I'm like, look, the Dooku thing is interesting. I almost fell asleep during the first one because I'm like, oh, Filoni's just doing that Miyazaki thing when he misses the point of Miyazaki. It misses a lot of points for me. So I'm like, it's just not my thing. I'm not telling you. I don't think it's good.
But I'm telling you, I don't love Tales of the Jedi. I don't love the Bad Batch. That shit doesn't apply. And one thing you like to say a lot, I saw you saying it in our comments yesterday. You're like, enough of that era. But you say it like when it's those other shows aren't the Clone Wars
That's
era.
the third point. I haven't gone to that point. I've been trying to keep out of that. But since you brought it up, I'll tell you, I'm done with the fucking Clone Wars era. Like, I'm done of it's a period of time that lasts like 3 to 5 years, and we've had 20 years of fucking stories. It's as bad as like a Batman comic where you're like, there's no way he did all this shit in his 30s, right? Like, it's comical. Only imagine if they said it held up to an actual timeline. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely. I'm just done with it. Personally, as a fan.
But
I hear you're not. I'm not saying you should. I'm not trying to convince anyone to believe me, you know, like, or agree with me. I'm telling you.
But it's like going like, you know what, man? I don't like fucking Chinese food, bro. I'm never trying sushi, a Japanese food that I've never even had before. I'm not trying it because I just know. But
that's how I feel about Del Taco.
But you don't know.
I do know Del Taco's never getting better, Jason. It's done with.
I don't know.
It's over. Can't do it.
Know.
So that one ain't for me, man. The Clone Wars ain't for me. I'm sorry. I wish it were. You know.
No, you see, but every single thing that you're saying about it has nothing to do with the Clone Wars.
Maybe if someone came along and reanimated it in a way that I could get behind it and I could listen to a French
The Umbara arc is visually stunning. It's visually fucking good. And I'm telling you, watch that
run
one.
And it's going to, we'll see. You know, Jason,
I don't know.
Maybe one day if they want to like pay me to watch it, I'll do it. But I don't know. It's hard to say. Even then, I'm like, fuck this.
I've been trying to get paid to watch Star Wars my whole life, and that never really works out.
I don't want to do it. Sorry,
but
I'd like to see Tartakovsky come back and do something, not Clone Wars related, anything.
Yeah, I honestly think
if Tartakovsky did a Boba Fett series that was like no dialogue and shit, that shit would be fucking.
If you like, I mean, I like him. I honestly don't want him to do any of that shit. I'd rather he just do his shit. Like,
100%.
Like you know what I mean?
Primal's great. Just keep doing what he's doing.
At the end of the day,
but you also asked me if I could pick, right? Anyone currently doing Western animation? I think he's a top tier Western animators. You know,
yeah. You just end up you end up with this like with him and his stuff. You just end up, like I said, like amalgamation of genres, and Star Wars fans who want the serialized content right now need something that's at least a peldo of the films, you know, and of that storytelling style. Now, if he wanted to go and they wanted to do like a, you know, another Genndy style thing, like a throwback where they did like the battles from the sequel trilogy in between it and did like I'd be all for it. Like, by all means, do it. But I also think he should tell Lucasfilm to suck his dick after how they treated him on the first Clone Wars run and what happened. So if I were
how Sony treated him with the Popeye movie. I don't know if you've ever seen Gendy's, like, he did this demo for a Popeye movie that was stylized, brilliant animation, like just super fucking fun. Like, I can't even describe it to you. It's just super. I mean, now you might go, oh, it kind of reminds me of things you've seen since, but that video was put out years ago, and it really affected a lot of.
But at the time, it was
Oh yeah. Nothing like it. Look, in the way that like Spider-Verse has changed a lot of major animation. You know what I mean? Like it has totally affected it in a positive way.
Do you know SpiderGwen is the most played Marvel skin? Surprisingly, in Fortnite.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. I mean, I like to play as female protagonists in my video games personally, so you know.
Yeah, because I like to look at their ass while I'm playing them. That's the only reason why. You ever have that friend who said that to you? You ever had that friend who said that to you? Are you that? Wait, are you that friend? So you're that friend. Rob's that guy. No.
And sorry. I want to play as that or a really, really big fat guy. Like I think that's great too. Like if I really like someone that reminds me of me, you know, a really big dude who's just a big hero. Like call him the big hero. I love it. Like Fat Thor was my favorite. Like I love it.
I've been playing as Padme in Fortnite, and Bespin is Anakin. Whenever I die, I get to tell him he's breaking my heart. Bespin, you're breaking my heart.
You too.
And I die.
You too.
I die.
You too. I'm like your afterbirth. I'm
Jar
what's
Jar.
left over from that.
You're gonna come in when Jar Jar comes in the game.
I like my Top Gungan joke today, right? Need for Binks? Binks? The need for Binks? Top Gungan, right?
Yeah.
But Mando forever, it won out. I had to make
Mando.
that. I saved that.
So before I forget, because thank you for the super chat, Frog Eater. Did the Acolyte wrap filming after its few weeks? So from what I understand, Acolyte hasn't entirely wrapped. So I haven't heard that it did. So I don't really have anything to add to that at the moment. And then Andor was supposed to wrap in August. I think the Acolyte is probably more fine, like I was saying, than other shows because it had an actual like writer's room with many writers on it per episode. So most likely those drafts were more finished than, let's say, like Tony Gilroy, who's one of three and who's like polishing as they go and finishing, you know what I mean, getting things finalized as the deadline approaches for those scenes. He's able to revise more and more and more. And so I would imagine that wouldn't be the case on this one. And so I'm hoping things are fine on that one but Acolyte hasn't stopped as far as we know, and it hasn't wrapped. I don't think. And I haven't seen or heard anybody saying it has. So fingers crossed it makes it out okay. I got a feeling it's just random, but there's a chance that Andor might have taken the brunt of that wave right now, and chances are Acolyte will finish before it becomes a thing. And then Thrawn is a member.
Well, they're mostly shooting overseas too, so you know what I mean. They're kind of bypassing a lot of the physical strike.
But that's not supposed to be the case, because the case is supposed to be if you scab in the UK, then they are going to ban you for life from their guilds.
I'm not supporting their decisions, Jason.
Yeah.
Not like Santa, right? Like
but no,
Santa's out there think tanking his way around. He's got his little think tank of elves, you know, trying to plot how can he get around so we can get our shows, you know, like I know you, Santa. I know what you're up to, but I'm with you. Like it's probably so late in editing that even if, you know, the editors can take over. Like Paul Hirsch, I mean, listen to Paul Hirsch talk about the way it was just him in a room with Lucas the last 5 months on Star Wars. And if Lucas wasn't in that room, Hirsch could have finished editing the film and there would have been no real difference. You know, it might have been a little leaner, to be honest with you, you know? So,
according to him,
you know, he seemed pretty fucking, I know everyone has their bias, but he seemed pretty honest when he was telling shit, because when things didn't benefit him, I'll give you an example. He was at a dinner with the Lucases. Had a big dinner.
I believe it's Lucasi.
Yeah, they had a big dinner. They had Brian De Palma, a bunch of fucking bigwigs are there. Paul shows up, and Coppola comes in, and he's filming Apocalypse Now, right? He's in the middle of Apocalypse Now. And he comes in there, and Coppola is, everyone's like bowing to Coppola, right? And like, Coppola goes, "Hey, I got this guy," and he's the guy who was like the editor on fucking, I don't know, like David Lean films, one of the best editors of all time at that point, right? Okay. He's like, I got this guy I got him just working on the helicopter sequence, right? 6-minute sequence for a year. You know, like, what do you think about that? Like, he's kind of slinging his weight around, right? And Paul says, you know, internally, he's like, that's fucking hell on earth. How could you you got the greatest editor of all time and you're just letting him work on one fucking sequence? So, but he's like, you know, everyone's worshiping this dude. So if I say the wrong thing, this could cost me a whole lot of career, right? Like, what do I do? What do I do? So he replies, you know, depending on the editor, that could be the worst job or the best job in the world. And Coppola just turned around and walked away. Didn't like, you know, so he didn't screw himself out of career, but he didn't make friends with Francis Ford Coppola, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's a
which honestly is probably a good thing for him. It seems like you know, Francis kind of eats people up and throws them away.
Right. But I think that's a fair description. That's a fair description of an event that also paints you like when you read it, it paints him in a light where it's like, yeah, I don't know about all this, you know. And he does say at times he didn't want to do things and Lucas did them and they were right. You know what I mean? Like, so he's not dishonest about that. But what I'm trying to get to the point is that if you're late enough in the process and you've been working with your crew, and his editors work hand in hand with the directors, they're right in the room with them. You know, like I mean, unless they're far away, but generally speaking, they can take over at a certain point.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and like when you get down to it, like, there's certain things that they would know they were going to cut, not need to spend the money on. At the end of the day, Disney's probably just going to spend the money on it, finish it, the visual effects on it, get it in like it's done, then it'll just get cut. And it's waste, but it's not really their problem. It's more of Disney's problem at that point, from that perspective, considering that like they just have to film and record ADR as it was written. But I don't see how some of the stuff with Andor when the directors strike. At that point, if the directors over in the UK, for instance, stand with them and say the same thing, you're done.
Yeah.
They're done.
And I think you should be blacklisted if you scab. I'm 100%.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So people know I'm a union guy, even though I was in a union. I know I wasn't allowed to be in the union and I quit a job. I got a job at the university once in the early 2000s thinking I was going to be in a union. And then when I got the job, they told me we weren't actually in the union. And so I quit. You know, I was like, I just wanted to be in the union. I didn't want this fucking job. Like that was the whole point for me. So.
Yeah. But we end up with something where the back end, it depends on what they're filming on the back end of production, because we tend to go, oh, it's like the last episodes, but it might not be. No, one of the things that we learned from one of the things that we learned from the first, and they did know a writer's strike was coming, so maybe they did change some of that stuff for that reason. Maybe that it did go that way. But when you look at Andor season 1, you hear like the first days of filming, we're filming the end conflict in the Brick City from the last episode was the first thing they filmed. So you know, who knows, like the
scheduling is what matters too, like who's available, when they're available, and that sort of opens up when you shoot it. So that's why you always block in a time. You don't release an order, right? You block in a time to shoot. But that's the whole thing, like with the strikes in general, scheduling it changes scheduling. Like you can only hold your schedules for so long as actors. Even if projects are falling away, you might have a commercial. Like I got a friend right now. Check this out. So he's a DP, right? Living out in LA, does it full time, has been going through the worst slump in the last 3 to 4 months since COVID hit in 2020, right? So I asked him, do you think that's the ramp up to the strike? And he said, yeah, you think that was because of ramp up to the strike. But now during the strike, commercials are like ramped. He's getting more work now than he's been getting, you know, in the last year. Like he's overbooked. So like in times of whatever, you know, needs shift, right? Like they always know where to move the work too. So I imagine you're going to see a lot of A-list actors appear in, like The Rock will appear in a bunch of commercials, or what's another one? Like Meryl Streep will appear in, like the Super Bowl commercials. Right. If the strike lasts a long period of time, will feature a lot of celebrities you would not normally see, Right. Because it benefits the brand to get that name in front of them. Everyone's going to be talking about how Tom Hanks appeared in a Toll House Cookies commercial or some shit like that. I mean, who's going to be the next Wilford Brimley, Jason? Right? Who's going to be the next Wilford Brimley? Like Seth Rogen, Quaker Oats, some shit like that. So, like,
Tom Hanks. I'm here to sell you a fixed mortgage. I'm Forrest Gump. Oh, okay, cool.
Would it be Geppetto Hanks? Would he show up in costume as Geppetto?
Yeah. When I was a kid, I wanted to be big, but now I just want to be old. What? Okay. Yeah. Jedi Mike saw, I want them Tom Hanks hot pockets. But yeah. So anyways, to get back to the like Heir to the Empire thing, what do you think? Just based off of what are your instincts telling you the story is on? Or are you like more like,
okay, well,
probably not. Well, wait, like if you just had to bet, and this isn't saying that they're lying, that My Time to Shine is a fraud, or even an endorsement. It's not an endorsement or a takedown. It's just completely like, what's your heart tell you, Annie?
Okay, well, in terms of whether I think they're right or wrong, obviously it's 50-50, because generally speaking, when things leak this early, studios will change it just to like prove a point. You know what I mean?
Because they can.
So
hasn't been written yet.
Could be called that today,
supposedly.
But by the end of tomorrow, they could be like, well, fuck, we're not giving them that fucking shit, It could be an intentional leak, right? It could be one of those to drum up hype kind of thing, get people excited, because there's going to be a lot of non-exciting shit to talk about for a while with the strike, right? So and never forget, like, we do know certain podcasts, this is a tweeter, it's not the same thing, but certain podcasts have leaked, quote unquote, information or video or footage from movies, and it was actually PR. Like, that does happen, there is that possibility.
I know. Yeah. I won't say who it is, but I know a big one from last year, and I got it confirmed to me that it was literally a handover.
Right. So that does
it was kind of funny because it backfired on the person that they were trying to help too. It was so dumb.
It always does, man. You can never works this way. I mean, look, you put out legit info and it can backfire. So it doesn't, or flop, like no one cares for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think anyone was super excited about Pedro Pascal until, like, you know what I mean? Now, you got to
Pedro Pascal is going to be on the Muppets. What? Oh my God! It's a big deal.
I know.
Yeah.
As a professional, right, critiquing professional moves, if it's true, I stand by my earlier statement that this is the good kind of fan service that will backfire if the execution is poor.
Yeah.
I think if the execution is good, it doesn't have to be great, but if it's good and it's fun, right, you get your Luke, B story or C story, right? Luke's like more than a cameo, right? But not like the big plot maneuver. He's like there in like I guess maybe an Obi-Wan role in a way, right? Or a C story. Then you can appease those people who were like, I never got my young Luke, Han, and Leia together bullshit, right? You can kind of solve that. I don't know anyone who thinks someone's gonna come out and give a Carrie Fisher performance with a deep fake Carrie Fisher. Like that I just Billy Lord might totally approve it, you know what I mean? And that could change everything. And they're gonna need a big PR move on that one to get it done. She's gonna need to come out there and go, I do this. But we're already facing a situation, and not in the mainstream, but in our sphere, where they're already worried about AI actors, right? The big strike, right? And the upcoming possible Screen Actors Guild is over this. So like if Leia was being, like an actress, even if it was her daughter doing a Carrie Fisher performance, which Billy Lord's not the greatest actress. I don't know about that, but
neither is Carrie, as it turns out.
Right. But I mean, I like her performance. In the 80s and 90s, man, she was doing some good stuff in that Burbs. She just didn't get. I still stand. Carrie Fisher should have been the lead in the movie The Burbs. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah.
I just think like it's gonna be a big PR problem, to get around that. Not a big deal. They'll just deal with it. Hashtag, like in a way. But that's a check mark. I just think though, it's a smart move to it's the fan service film for the older generation when you're giving the newer generation, quote unquote, their fan service film with Rey. And then with the Man's Goal film, you're giving everyone you're getting something totally new with no one you fucking know, and not even Yoda because it's too old. Like it does check off. If you were a studio that was trying to check off a bunch of fucking lists, this checks off a bunch of fucking lists in the best possible way. And yeah, it could all fucking suck at the end of the day. We could be like, every one of these films was dog shit. But I guess we'll be here to talk about that if that day comes. So
yeah. As it true says, my time to shine ran out of NFTs to grift, hence the SWE leaks today. So
that's possible.
So yeah, I don't know.
But this is not a hard thing to guess. It's just when someone with some credibility, and I'm not familiar with this person, so I don't know. I'm just assuming based on what you've said, has had previous credibility. When they come out and say it, then well, are people going to be checking this on the record? You know what I mean? Because then it's on the record, and then you lose credibility after a while. So
yeah,
unless that's what you're trying to do.
Yeah, I would say if this doesn't pan out, then just simply don't listen to My Time to Shine for this kind of stuff. And then,
but if
it does, then listen to My Time to Shine with this kind of stuff. By the same measure.
What was that rumor last year with what's her face 7 from Stranger Things and Star Wars? Remember that was
11.
Back?
You're saying 7-11.
Hey man, don't fuck with 7.
You called 11-7 because 7-11. I see what you did there, an accident.
Yeah. I know. But you know what I mean. So she was, and everyone's been saying she'd make a great Carrie Fisher, Leia-esque, she looks just freaking like her from the early 80s in a lot of ways.
She's too young for that one. She's still too young.
You could deepfake older though. You know what I mean? And get the performance. She can't act. So
I don't buy it, man. I think she'd look adorable in a Princess Leia costume if you're going to a Halloween party with her. Don't get me wrong. She probably does. I just don't see her as having the edge to bring the
Bobby Brown,
the Carrie Fisher, to bring the Carrie Fisher like style, a little bit of the sass, a little bit of the edge. Just doesn't have that. There's nothing wrong with that. It's fine. I don't mean that's not like a dig on her. I think she's a fine actor. She could do all kinds of things. I just think that she just has a certain like brunette look, and people go, "There's the association." And I'm like, yeah, as a model, if she wanted to model Princess Leia
facially,
clothing,
she's got the same jawlines and stuff.
Yeah, but it's not. But she doesn't have the same like kind of presence. You know what I mean?
But I'm gonna say, who does? Like the closest I've seen to that kind of presence in the last 20 years was like a young Janine Garofalo in a way. Like very few women have hit some of the. This is not close, but some of the early Courtney Cox kind of acting had some of that. But who? I think the problem is Carrie wasn't acting so much in that first film, other than she was being Carrie. In a lot of ways.
Well, in the first two films, she is sort of her own personality. That's why she could show up high off her ass and fucking land a performance still, because it's like kind of natural. And then that's why when you get to Return of the Jedi and she has to be like, "Hold me," she's like, "I don't know how to do this. What is this?" It's confusing.
But if I had to choose between Millie Bobby Brown giving a performance and Billie Lourd, who do you think I'm going to pick, dude? Millie Bobby Brown. I mean, then Enola Holmes was fun, and she can actually act.
I have no idea why, because Billie Lourd's her daughter. Billie Lourd doesn't even look like her to me. When Billie Lourd was doing stand-in stuff for Carrie on the thing, I was like, this is just to make it feel okay to them, because it's weird. That's the only reason why they're like.
That's all I'm saying, though. Is at the end of the day, Leia appears in this film. It's a performer with who's the performer. And no one's talking about that, but they could just dawn on me like, man, that's so,
what it's actually probably going to take is it's not going to take a team, and it's going to take a voice actor who can really sound like Carrie Fisher, so that way when they do the deep fake / de-aging kind of technology, it's perfect. Like that's what it would really take. But I also think you kind of probably sideline her a lot, and you focus on Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill, who would be Han Solo and Luke Skywalker, right?
Remember when they got the guy to play Tarkin in Revenge of the Sith, and he looked more like Tarkin than when they put all the fucking makeup on him? They put the makeup on him to kind of de-age him, but you should have just left him looking the way he did. Like he looked like Tarkin.
No. They actually did a makeup test that matched. That looked. I should say it looked better than Tarkin does in Rogue One on this makeup test. And Lucas was like, "Oh, I think he's supposed to be younger." And then they just like, okay, and then
screwed the pooch on it. Yeah,
and then took it to a weird place. Yeah, it's all.
Looked like he was wearing a big. Looked like he was wearing a Dick Tracy mask. You know what I mean? It didn't look.
Yeah, he looked like that, like not the flat top guy, but like like that real unnatural blank face kind of thing. It was strange, but
if they're like, hey, look, I'm just gonna put this out there because like I don't expect it. I'm being sarcastic, but like, what if they got Chris Pine? Chris Pine's gonna be young Han Solo deep faked, right? You know what I mean? And Millie Bobby Brown, like, does that make anything better? Like
no. I really think if you do that, you just use Harrison. You just pay for Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill. You just actually just like how Indiana Jones has Harrison Ford playing himself at that same age. Like Harrison Ford is playing that age this year.
He's getting at it, which is why you shoot it sooner than later, and you make it a one-off film. If they continue this story, it continues on Disney Plus. I don't see it continuing.
Ford. I mean, Ford is like on a trajectory where he either gets hurt and can't do it anymore, or just hits that Jack Nicholson stage where he just can't remember lines anymore.
But he had so little to do in the book series. I don't think it matters much, though. Like,
well,
Han Solo had little to do in that series.
But once again, if you go and then you're writing Han Solo and Luke, or Han Solo with very little to do, just don't even write him. Just don't even do it, at that point. So that would
have
be
young Leia and don't have a young Han, dude. They're gonna do it. Like that's and if that's an ending shot of Filoni's characters sitting right next to young Luke, young Leia, young Han. I'm telling you right now, man. If you think they don't know that isn't the new versus, they gotta have that shot. That's the shot that puts. You gotta just put ego into it, Jason.
Here we go. You okay? No, I am right now. I'm actually putting Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau's ego in it right now, and their propensity to want to win. So when Aria, the Millie rumor was completely fake, total bullshit, ridiculous numbers for the money were made up. $10 million. It was just stupid. Episode 10 million. But anyways. You have a republic who's refusing to respond, right, to the call. And then we're assuming our heroes, Mando, Ahsoka, Ezra Bridger, and Mandalorian pals, stepping up in the place. It's a libertarian's fucking dream, you guys. The estate's not responding, so the people are doing it themselves. And that's what we have. But at some point, maybe you bring in Han, Luke, and Leia when the cavalry do respond or can respond. If they get Pearl Harbored by Thrawn, maybe they can't. Luke, Leia, and Han immediately can't get into the Millennium Falcon and help. And then we have that come on the back end, and then we do see those characters with the characters you've created, Dave Filoni, with your Mandalorian and your Grogu, and they're all together, culminating in this big ending to defeat Thrawn at the end. That does seem like something I could see happening if I take ego into the equation with my imagination, right? Does that kind of make
100%? That's the whole reason for doing it. And I know, like, look, Hollywood is as simple as that. You sell one image, and the whole fucking thing gets done. The whole thing moves forward. With momentum. Especially when you're looking at execs who want to we can resell the same Mark Hamill figure. We could sell another. He'll be in the black costume, but he'll have a purple hand this time.
Yeah.
They're salivating.
Yeah. I mean, I also am of the opinion like my opinion on Mara Jade has always been you bring her in and you have her and Luke have the romance, but it doesn't develop too far, or it does, but not as far as we think, kind of thing. And then, but what you do is you have it like where, you know what, Luke's like, you know what, I'm fucking Luke Skywalker, and I like to fuck. And then he does, right? He fucks her. Like we won't see this on screen because it's a fucking Disney show, right? But he fucks her. And then she's like, oh my God, I'm going to have a baby. Because that's what happens when you let a Jedi just nut up inside you. It happens classically in Star Wars. Padme, look, that's how that happened, right? Twins. So then she goes and she's like, I got to leave. This guy, his work is too important. He's going to start the Jedi
Jason,
Order. And then he leaves. But then we get Luke Skywalker's fucking children or grandchildren that we never knew existed 15 years when Rey's out there looking for people. And then now we have the George Lucas's other idea for a sequel trilogy. And in essence, it's all there. And Luke Skywalker continues on, and it's not like, and he still did what he was supposed to do. Sure, he had one night of not double bagging it when he did Mara Jade, but now there's these twins out there, and Luke Skywalker has children. And then that right there makes more movies down the road and another thing. And Lucas gets to have his cake and eat it too. What he wanted happens.
I had
and
thought,
yeah,
I know you're being sarcastic, but
I'm kind of serious.
I know, but we use terminology. But this is what I had thought possibly they may have been doing with episode 9 initially, where I was like, look, if she, at some point, Rey needs to meet a fucking Obi-Wan character who's living, and Luke, you know, that's a whole different story that resolved itself. Is she had come in contact with Mara Jade. You know, I had hoped Ahsoka, right? But if they had gone that route, and she had a kid, you know, that would have helped solve a lot of those fucking other issues. You know what I mean? Like, but not solve, but it would set things up. You'd have an idea of where the story would go, 50 years down the line or 30 years down the line or some shit like that. Or in this case, 15 years, which is right that sweet spot.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. This is giving this studio a lot of credit. I don't think they work that way, though. Like, I know they like to talk in timelines, but I think they use that for vagary. Like it's like general, like it's like action figure windows. We know this ship looks like here, and this spaceship looks like this here, and this spaceship looks like here. Like it's that kind of like looseness.
When you have to have a soundbite that's 3 lines, and you use one of those lines to say it's 15 years after blah 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 blah, you've just been able to get out of really saying too much.
Yeah. Instead of a bulky X-Wing, it's a sleek looking X-Wing. That's the era we're in. That's how they tend to move. But I think the imagery of the Mando characters sitting with the old trilogy characters is the picture that is getting this whole thing done one way or the other. And whether it's called Heir to the Empire or not, if that doesn't happen, then I'm like, well, no offense, shareholders should be pissed. Like, and I rarely speak for shareholders, but it's like, why fucking spend the $250 million or $300 million after marketing? You're going to be spending $300 million. It doesn't really matter which way you cut or chase it. To fucking give the fans their stupid you already got all these stupid faces in your computer. You know how to make it. Just give them the fucking thing and shut them up. Get them in the theaters just one time, so we can move on. Because really, for me, the thing I'm looking forward to the most, man, is that Man's Gold fucking bit. But then I'm like, am I gonna be 50 fucking years old by the time this shit comes? Maybe. I think I am, dude. I think I am. And I can't believe it. Look, guys, when you start to hit a certain age, it's gonna hit differently for everyone. But I am at the point now where I'm like, well, is that worth waiting for? Or do
everyone watching this show, you're gonna live to see the singularity. Don't worry, you're gonna live forever.
Jason, I hope so, but we're at a point now where they're resell. Everything breaks like in 6 months or 10 weeks versus 2 years. It used to be 2 years, now it breaks in 6 weeks. I don't know about how well we're building things anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't get one Nintendo controllers used to be the most durable controllers in the world, and now they drift left and right. It doesn't matter which one you fucking buy. So yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see. But I am excited if they did come out and say, hey, we're doing it. I'm on to give them the fucking chance. But it is make no mistake, it is in the same category as Civil War, Days of Future Past, and you know, those kinds of adaptations where they're name and general idea only. It is not.
And you have to be ready for. I mean, just this year, one redheaded fish lady came out, and she doesn't have like red hair, I don't think, or she's not white or something. The Little Mermaid. So, you know, they may not cast a Mara Jade just to be like a redheaded, whatever, you know what I mean? To like fill that, like they might go with a dark skinned person. A lot of those people are going to go crazy. Man, might give her pink hair.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, and think about this too. Like, you know, when Luke Skywalker was going to kill his nephew for a second, when he thought about it, and his nephew freaked out and became a little emo bitch over it. Come on, man. Became a little emo bitch about it. What happened though? Not my hashtag, not my Luke Skywalker. Well, what if Luke Skywalker's like, Mara, I ain't having no kids. My dad's Darth Vader. You think I could be a father? I gotta go. Imagine their hate for that. I'm kidding on that one. But yeah, I don't know, man. I just feel like if this is the concept, everyone's going to be really excited to get let down by it, because it's going to be all things to everybody's imagination today. And it's going to be the thing that it is, and it's not the thing that you thought it was. So I think it's a bad idea.
We could say that about every Star Wars movie since Return of the Jedi, you know? Like,
but when you're actually calling it something that already exists, like if you go into seeing Star Wars Skeleton Crew, if you go to watch that series and you bring all this shit in with you, that's on you. Like, that is you not being responsible and you deciding what this thing is supposed to be, not what the what do we call it? The promise of the premise. But right there, when you're doing, when you're doing it where you're saying it's heir to the Empire, that's a promise.
But Ahsoka calls
Thrawn
the heir to the Empire, and so they're making the heir to the Empire literally about Thrawn. Technically, man, could be a weird situation. Protagonist could be Thrawn in that movie. If you know, a backwards way of doing it, you know, like could be. I don't say backwards. I don't mean that in a negative manner. I mean like in a non-typical way.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and once again, it may just be the fucking like you mentioned. It was already said in the episode. Maybe they're just fucking lifting the title, and that's all that it is. Other than the fact that it's called that and Thrawn's in it. Maybe that's just fucking it at the end of the day.
100% that's all it is, you know?
As far as we know, a draft hasn't even been turned in yet. And that makes me think that maybe this is just like a working title. You know, this is the equivalent of Heir to the Empire.
I would think if it was a working title, you know, I agree with you. I would think it would be something more. I mean, they tend to give these things like marshmallow names and shit. You know what I mean? Like, like Tantus or some bullshit like that, you know? Or,
which sounds like a dildo.
Yuzlamari or, you know, fucking.
Yeah. I hate that. I hate that concept. It's so dumb.
Like the concept, don't like the name. So.
It's like, oh, this is a thing that has no atoms to it.
In nature always has a prey. If you create one thing, it creates something else to abhor the other. So I agree with that idea. The namings that he comes up with in there are so not Star Wars to me. They're like science book shit. No one else
penetrates us.
It
binds the galaxy together, except for these guys on these trees. These fucking little weirdos are different.
Red-hatted libertarian Republican motherfucker of the Fourth, right? We don't play by no rules. So
I mean, I see it just simply for what it was. Is that Luke Skywalker is a superhero at that point, and how do you midi-chlorians aren't a problem. You know, midi-chlorians, if you use the Force, they're a ramification. The idea behind midi-chlorians was supposed to be that's how you got fucking busted. When the stormtroopers pulled you over, they would give you a midi-chlorian test. This guy's been using the Force. Kill him. Lock him up. Lock her up. That's what they'd say.
So I put it in the same category. You know.
But I mean, no. But midi-chlorians aren't the Force. That's the thing. They're a ramification of the Force, like how
and these are a thing that like a
magnet dust on a magnet, is not, that's not magnetic polarity. That's not the North Pole. You know what I mean? It's a ramification of that power. So, but once again, it's also an irrelevant thing in the end because it didn't matter. But Super Shadow did tell me how many midi-chlorian counts every Jedi had, and I was like, oh shit, are you serious? This is true?
That's some knowledge I'm glad I don't have. Like, I got a lot of stupid shit up here, Jason, in this head of mine. I'm so happy that's not one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's there's definitely a lot that could be done with this kind of, mashing up there to the Empire as we know it, the galactic events, like the whole joke, the true joke of Legends, the truth is there's always some truth in Legends. That's what they like to say. And it's like, okay, yeah. And so some of the things that happened, like in that book, Thrawn did come back. Thrawn did attack the Republic. Like there are things, but you can do a mashup and make it fun. And Filoni and Favreau are of the generation where they would probably consider it. I'm not, if this is true or not, they would consider doing it. They would have talked about it. What if we did it? And but a part of me also feels like it's not this, and they maybe are using that on some stuff just to throw people. Just because I don't think if it was Heir to the Empire that people would know that they would be using it. They would call it Lunnick Industries, the script or whatever, something that obscures that.
Blue Harvest or some bullshit.
Yeah,
not for nothing though, Jason. Fun little game to play. Anytime anyone, whether it's Kathleen Kennedy, Dave Filoni, anybody, says the line, there's always some truth in Legends, they always squirm their butt in the seat. They always squirm their butt in the seat. Watch. Yeah, they do that.
There's always some truth in Legends.
There's some truth in Legends.
No. Yes.
Yeah. And there's always some bullshit in our PR statements.
Yes, it's definitely true.
Go to StarWarsYouTube.com for more bullshit, like that.
Yeah. And they clearly are going to have to contend with this in some way now. So I'm hoping. Well, I will say, if this story is true, I feel like it will be validated by somebody like Jeff Snyder, Bespin Bolton, myself, maybe, soon. And I'm almost
going to come out with the big scoops, buddy. You're falling behind.
There ain't shit going on. That's the whole thing.
Where's the big scoops, buddy?
Huh? Yeah. That's and once again, if this isn't true, what did I say yesterday? Yesterday I said we're in the most quiet period that we're going to be in for a little while, and I said so get ready for some fake ass bullshit to start hitting. And then this happens like the very next day. And I'm like, did I call it or did I call it? But I'm not saying it is. I don't know. Right now, I don't know. My sense tells me it's not true. I want to reject this as not being a thing.
I want to start the rumor that the Rey movie is about her twin sister Mary Sith. Rey Skywalker, Sith versus Rey Skywalker. She plays twins, so she can fight herself.
We did decide that it was a Mara Sue. That she would be a Mara Sue. We already decided that,
yes.
And that links into this. Which, by the way, I think I foolishly just deleted that George Lucas clip where he does the skit about. Oh no! Wait, I do have it.
I am not the creator of Mara Jade. And I want you to get out of this office right now. I don't want you here.
It's like, does that seem like a guy who really hates Mara Jade? It's a joke.
Well, she's hogging the Mongolian barbecue, Jason.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
you don't cut in line in front of me. I'll give you what for, by hook or by crook. You're gonna hear it. Yeah.
George. Yeah. I got to go pick up the kids. All right, everybody. We'll see everybody.
George,
tell Rob.
Me too.
So tell Rob, I'll talk to him later. The kids are out of school. It is that time, and we've gone.
I don't talk to
long
him.
again. You hear what I said? We said we went long.
He's a fake fan. He's a fake.
I said we went long.
Yeah.
But anyways, thank you to everyone who became a channel member.
That's what we call that.
Is a channel member, and for everyone for hanging out with us today.
Yeah.
Lucas, thanks Ron for being a channel member.
Your papa?
Dude. Always appreciate it.
Who's your papa? Who's your papa?
You're Baron Papa Noida. We know, George. We'll see everybody tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. And if anything happens, I'll be back on to talk about it. And thank you, Susie. Appreciate it. We'll see everybody tomorrow. Be cool. Stay in school. Hey.
What?
Talk to you tomorrow, George.